Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's ETA Prime back here again. Today, we're going to be taking a look at a few awesome products that AliExpress was kind enough to send over for review. Now, throughout the year, I do pick up a lot of stuff from AliExpress. You've probably seen my mini PC videos, little gaming PCs, and things like that, but they've got so much more to offer over on their website. From electronics, household goods, clothing, you name it, they've got it, and their slogan is better choice, better price. And at the time of making this video, AliExpress is running their Double 11 Mega Sale. You can get up to 90% off. You can also get free shipping. This is valid from November 8th to November 18th. AliExpress already has the best deals, but they did give us some exclusive codes to save even more, like $9 off of 30, 15 off of 60, 25 off of 100, and 60 off of your purchase of 200 or more. Plus, they're offering free shipping and free returns. And it's really easy to use these codes. Once you've got everything in your cart that you want to pick up, over here on the right-hand side, we've got the promo code section. We'll just go ahead and paste one of these in. We're going to be using the EPRT9 code to get $9 off. As soon as we enable that, it's going to bring that price down to $28. So it took $9 right off the top. But getting right down to the products they sent over, first up, we've got the Miyoo Mini Plus. This is a very pocketable retro handheld gaming console. Definitely one of my favorite little carry-around handhelds. It's coming in with a super small form factor, and you can pick this up in a few different colors. Personally, I love this transparent purple version, but if we head over to the AliExpress website, you can see they've got the retro color variation. They've also got a white version, transparent black, and of course the transparent purple. Very easy to use interface here. From the main menu, we've got our recent favorites, games, apps, and our settings. Going into each one of these sections from games will allow us to kind of choose the game we'd like to play. And from here, these are a lot of standalone emulators straight in the game section. We've got GBA, Game Boy, Mega Drive, Super Nintendo, NES, Game Boy Pocket, Game Boy Color, PC Engine. I'll tell you, given the lack of analog sticks and the power the CPU's putting out, basically we can go up to PS1 on this unit. Moving over to some Sega Genesis or Mega Drive in other parts of the world, we've got Gunstar Heroes. And this is another one of those emulators that's going to run really well on this device. So we've got basically the full Mega Drive / Genesis catalog that we can play on the go here. And I'm not sure how well it's coming across on camera, but as we know, a lot of these Genesis games use really bright colors, those bright blues and greens, like the Sonic franchise, and these games look so good on this little IPS display. Okay, so here we have some PlayStation 1, and I just wanted to show you some of these standalone emulators do have their own dedicated settings. So for this one here, we do have some frame skip going on, and I'm going to turn the FPS on. So it's now in the lower left-hand corner, and obviously we've got frame skip set to auto. It's going to need it for harder to emulate games. So something like Bloody Roar 2 and even Tekken 3 will require a little bit of frame skip, but it's not noticeable. Usually I really do hate using it, but on this smaller display, it's still really smooth. And while I'm here, I figured I'd test out one more PlayStation 1 game, Gran Turismo. And it seems to be working great. I'm actually having a little bit of trouble here because I've got the camera filming the screen. It's a bit hard to play this racing game here while I'm filming the screen and everything, but if I did have this closer to me, I shouldn't have an issue with it. Something like Colin McRae Rally 2.0 is a really good example. The next thing we're going to be taking a look at is the Anbernic RG35XXSP. This thing's pretty great. Clamshell design, we've got a 3.5-inch display and an all-winner H700 CPU. Obviously, it's modeled after another very famous handheld that hit the market years ago, and I'm totally fine with this. Actually, love the form factor here. And they are offering this in a few different color variants. Obviously, we've got the silver version here, but once we flip this thing up, you can see it's very reminiscent of what we were just talking about. Now, it's not a spot-on one-to-one replica. There are some major differences here. This is coming in just a bit thicker than the original SP. And again, they do offer this in several different colors over on AliExpress. Obviously, we're taking a look at the silver version, but they've got the older retro version and some newer clear versions. So we've got clear blue and kind of the smoke black. I personally do like this clear blue. I think it looks really good. The RG35XXSP is powered by the all-winner H700, so we've got that quad-core CPU running at up to 1.5 GHz, 1 GB of RAM, a 3.5-inch IPS display, and a 3300 mAh battery. And of course, with that all-winner H700 CPU, we're not going to have any issues with GBA emulation. We're going to get full speed across the board, especially using that RetroArch core. The H700 isn't the most powerful chip on the market, but I think it's great for these smaller handheld retro devices. It's not going to do every single PSP game, and it's definitely not going to do every N64 game at full speed, but there's a wide range of different games that are going to be fully playable on this chipset. And I did want to show you a little bit of OG Game Boy. Again, we've got that bezel preset ready to go, gives us the correct aspect ratio, and I think it looks really good. We've even got that little LED power indicator over on the left-hand side. So playing these games with that pea green color right out of the box is awesome. Usually this is something we do have to set up, but it's automatically ready to go. Moving over to some PS1 emulation, this actually handles PlayStation 1 really well. Now, one thing you might notice here is we don't have an analog stick, and for PlayStation 1, I'm not that worried about it. Later on in its life cycle, we got that DualShock controller, so a lot of games just needed a D-pad. But for other higher-end systems out there, like N64, even some Dreamcast games, and PSP, we are missing an analog stick here. Now, given there are ways to use this D-pad as an analog stick, but then when you move over to a game that required an analog stick and a D-pad, you've lost the D-pad. So that's kind of the downside of a device like this without any kind of analog sticks added on. Ever since the H700 appeared in these handhelds, one of the most impressive things here, in my opinion, is Dreamcast emulation. It does a really great job. Now, there are still a few games where frame skip is really going to help out, like, let's say, Crazy Taxi 2, but for the most part, I've actually had a really good time with Dreamcast emulation using Flycast on the H700. And this performance also transfers over to Naomi and Atomic Wave emulation, given that it's using the same Flycast core. Here's some N64. I just wanted to give you a look at how well the D-pad here works as an analog stick. So I can set this up no problem at all in RetroArch, but then when I move over to a game that didn't require the analog stick and I need to use the D-pad, I'll have to swap it back and forth. And finally, some PSP emulation. With the original PSP, we had a 16:9 aspect ratio display. So as you can see, we got those big black bars on the top and bottom because we've got a 4:3 aspect ratio display on this handheld. And this is actually using the standalone version of PPSSPP. There's quite a few games that run pretty good on this little handheld with that H700 CPU, but then when you move up to the harder to emulate stuff like God of War, it will require a lot of frame skip. So yeah, that's going to wrap it up for this video. If you're interested in checking out what AliExpress has to offer, I'll leave links in the description. And remember, I've got those codes on screen and in the description. $9 off of 30, 15 off of 60, 25 off of 100, and 60 off of your purchase of $200 or more. Another thing they've got going on right now is the Dollar Challenge. If you download the AliExpress app, you can be entered for a chance to win 3,000 shopping credits or 10,000 flight credits. So if you want to check them out, I'll leave links in the description. But that's it for this one. And like always, thanks for watching.